How do I say this in the most delicate way possible? Y'all lists are ass. Most of y'all lists are ass. I'm sorry that I had to be the one to tell y'all. Not all y'all's. Yours right there, that's a pretty solid 25. But everyone else, your player rankings are doo-doo, straight poo-poo, caca. And for the most part, it's all for the same reason. The juggling of multiple different criteria. Like, yeah, this player is better than this player at offense, but this person's defense is better, but this person is elite rebound. Blah, 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 blah. I don't care. I really don't. I don't care if you're locking people down like some handcuffs or a shoestring. I don't care if your bag of Louis Vuitton keep all 60 monogram Boston. I don't care if it's a Walmart plastic. All I care about is if we win it. All I care about is if you helping me stack chips like it's Pringles. All I care about is if you winning me a ring or choking in the clutch like it's Riley Reid. Can I get an amen from the congregation? So here's my list of the top 25 players in the NBA based off how likely I think they would be to win you a championship if they were on your team. Nothing more, nothing less. You could also label this as impact on winning if you want to get more technical, but I feel like likelihood to win you a championship is more accurate because it inherently puts more of an emphasis on playoff performance, which is a belief I wholeheartedly subscribe to. So to start on my list, let me first discuss the honorable mentions so y'all don't get butthurt about me not mentioning someone that you like. For the first category of honorable mentions, we have people like Darius Garland, Tyrese Maxey, Pascal Siakam, Bradley Beal, Ingram, Halliburton, Sabonis, and a few others, who I feel all can be really good third options on the championship team, but unless the team got Mariana Trench or Bella Danger depth, I just don't think they can be your second best player. I feel like Garland and Maxey will reach the tier of second best player on a championship team soon, maybe even next season, but at the moment, this is where they fall for me. Karl Anthony Towns, aka Cat, also falls in this category for me, but I just wanted to single him out because he is maybe the most frustrating player in the NBA to me. I genuinely think Cat is a top 10 talent in the league. Like, really, if you take out your preconceived notions of him and just look at his talent, he's the second best offensive center in the league in my opinion. His problems is his intangibles are so low, 2K needs to change the base code of the game so we are allowed to put in negative numbers in as the ratings. This man just played like an absolute dickhead, and it's so annoying to watch and see him talking about how he changing the game. My son, the only thing you're finna change is your place of residence once the Timberwolves ship you out of there for a pack of Skittles and a colostomy bag. I think if he's your third option and anything you get from him is less relied upon and more of a bonus, then you're in great shape. But if you're in a playoff game and are dependent on this man to produce, I'm sorry, man, he already on his fourth foul. My second category of honorable mentions is the infirmary. As I'm sure you can guess, this category contains players like PG-13 and especially Kawhi and Zion. Now, if you can guarantee these three's health, I would easily put them all in my top 25. I don't think there are 15 other players that want more than Zion and Kawhi specifically, but part of leading a team to a championship is, you know, actually being on the court to lead the team to a championship. And when your body's just not built for the game like Kawhi and to a lesser extent PG, or when you're just too big for your joints and more concerned about shooting into porn stars than into basketball hoops like Zion, I just can't trust you to lead my team to the chip. Other than that, if you like, I don't know, a Randall truther, be mad, I really don't care about your opinion. On to the list. Number 25. Bam out the Bayou. This is one of the two players I'm most on the fence on for being on this list. If you want to tell me that you switched out Bam on your list for any of the players I put in my really good third option tier, except Bradley Beal, I honestly want to fight you. The main reason I gave Bam deference over the rest of these guys is because we've literally seen him be the second best player on a championship level team multiple years now, and that's something we haven't seen out of any of the players below him. Even when Pascal won his chip with the Raptors, I personally feel like he was the third best player on that team behind Leonard and Large Cheese Lowry. When we look at his game though, we can see why he is so impactful. Bam is an underrated defender. People think he's good at defense, but I've only seen content creators, not really mainstream media, talk about him being a truly great defender. He's probably the most switchable big man in the league, and he's a solid rim protector on top of that. Don't let Jokic dropping him off at school in the playoffs diminish your view of Bam's defense. Jokic was procreating prolifically all playoffs, fathering everyone in the NBA. Defensively, Bam can be your anchor, which is the only reason he is up this high, because offensively, he mid. And I say this as a Bam fan, but like if he had 5 inches less on his vertical, who you taking on offense, him or Draymond? And like I'm taking Bam still, but I had to think about it. Outside of him being a lob threat and a decent driver/playmaker for a big man, he's not giving you much. His postgame whack and his mid-range is Westbrook mid-range. That is fake, and no one can convince me otherwise. Overall though, his play finishing makes him a plus offensive player on top of his top 5 defensive impact. Number 24, the only other man I'm not sure about being on this list James Harden. Now, I am a Thunder fan, and ever since I saw this man Harden's beard in the 2012 playoffs, he's been my second favorite player behind KD and then Russ when KD turned cupcake. So it does not comfort me to say this, but honestly, I'm done believing in the Stoop. The only reason he is on my list at all is because the regular season still holds some value. Having James on your team as the second option and maybe even first in a really good situation will be enough to get you a top seed in the playoffs, which affords you an easier path and home court advantage, blah, 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 blah. But once the playoffs do happen, this brother turns straight Casper to the point where if this man returns to the corporeal plane for 1 second and just has a solid game, like a 20 and 10 on 40% efficiency type game, I'm genuinely surprised, shocked. It's a coin flip on whether Harden has a good offensive game or not, and I just don't think that someone who isn't a good defender and is also your main ball handler can overcome being that inconsistent. Once again, he still has his value in the regular season. Him being your second best player, I think guarantees you being a top 3 seed more than anyone below him. But once we get to the playoffs, there's no top 30 player I would want less on my team, aside from Cat. Number 23. Umar Irving. Now, the Doctor is probably the most befuddling player to rank because I feel like it's kind of just accepted in the basketball community that he's a good playoff performer because of that insane run he had with Brown when they were smoking on that Warriors pack. But if you really think about it, that was the last time that man did anything significant in the playoffs, and he's been on some good-ass teams. Celtics with a young Brown and Tatum coming off an Eastern Conference Finals run, and that's with KD and Harden. The Mavs with Luka. Like, it seems everywhere he go where he don't get LeBron to backpack him, he's just bound to fold. Now, I do still think Kyrie can be a solid number 2 on a championship level team. I even think he could be that for the Mavs this year. I didn't like the Kyrie trade when it happened, but with an offseason together and some solid additions in the draft and free agency, I think the fit between Kyrie and Luka will look a lot better this year. But if I take into account Kyrie's lack of performance in the playoffs, in addition to his injury history and off-court, distractions, I think Kyrie's actual impact on winning is a lot less than it should be given his skill. Number 22. Jalen Brunson. Now, I got a weird relationship with Jalen Brunson. When he first got drafted, I thought he was a bona fide steal. Not because of any film I watch or anything like that. I just sometimes get a feeling about a player and become convinced they are going to be amazing. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it don't. For instance, when this man's measurables and athletic scores came out, I was convinced Mo Bamba was going to be everything y'all think Victor is going to be. I mean, that man had one of the longest wingspans in NBA history, ran a 3/4 court sprint faster than Russ, and was shooting threes in college. I'm just saying, when I was making 2K draft classes, I had this man's potential on 99 plus. But back to what I was saying, I thought Jalen was going to be a big draft steal when he got picked by the Mavs, and I was vindicated in the 2022 playoffs when he was effectively the second best player on a conference finalist. Despite this, when he got signed to a $25 million per year contract over 4 years, I thought that was too much. I think I saw Jalen as an okay third option or an S-tier 6 man, but not a leader of a legitimate playoff team. However, looking back on it now, I am 100% convinced that the only reason I thought that the Knicks overpaid for Brunson was because it's the Knicks that signed him. For the majority, actually, the entirety of my life, the Knicks have been a dumpster fire of an organization. So even when they signed a player I have always liked to a contract with good value, I was convinced he was going to burn out. But no matter my reasons for doubting him, this year Jalen proved me wrong. He was the best player on the Knicks without question since when the playoffs rolled around, Julius Randle turned into a spoiled orange Julius. And I think he solidified himself as a bona fide playoff stud. His strength is I just think he's a really solid point guard who isn't really bad at anything. He's a good shooter, he's a good shot creator, he's a solid playmaker, he's a solid team defender. He's even got a solid post game, which is kind of crazy for someone his size. And on top of that, he's dependable and raises his game in the playoffs. The only thing that's really holding him back from being a number 1 option is he's really not great or dynamic at anything. Like, if you tell someone Jalen Brunson coming to town, you're not messing around or nothing, but you're not shaking in your boots. So Knicks fans, I'm sorry, I don't think Brunson can lead you to a championship. But if you guys can somehow break character and actually get a top 10 talent on your team and somehow keep Brunson and not completely gut your roster, I think with the Bucks being so old, the Sixers being the Sixers, and the Celtics being the Celtics, y'all can end up as the favorites in the East for years to come. Also, trade Julius Randle. No disrespect on the man. He seemed cool in the interviews I've seen, but you'd have to pay me to have Randle on my team. Respectfully, of course. Number 21, Jaylen Brown. I saw the most foul comment about Jaylen Brown on the Rusty Buckets video after he got his big-ass contract. Let me find it real quick. Oh, here it is. It was quoting a tweet they saw that said, Hansel Emmanuel got a better left hand than Jaylen Brown. Just for y'all's edification, this is Hansel Emmanuel. All jokes aside, though, Jalen is frustrating because he is almost the ideal 3-and-D all-star wing. He's a good to great defender, which is only dependent on how much effort he's able to give on that end of the court. He's a good to great shooter, he's a good finisher, and he's an okay playmaker. But my boy really got no left hand. Like, I got a friend that's a Celtics fan, and every time we watching a game and Jaylen Brown pump fake a defender, he start getting Vietnam War flashbacks because he is so scared Jaylen about to put the ball in the hands of the other team. And what's so annoying is that that's the only thing holding Jaylen back. Like, even in his playoff performances, he has his blemishes, but when he isn't asked to do too much, he is the best second option in the league, bar none. To the point where some people were genuinely arguing who was better out of him and Tatum during their finals run a couple years ago. The problem is when you have to go to him to create a shot, he can't do it because the boy dribbling the basketball with his palms. Now, the man is only 26, and with that new contract he got, which is literally 60% of the GDP of my parents' home country, maybe he can hire a trainer to teach him how to dribble the basketball with his head up. But until then, I'ma sell my Jaylen Brown stock. Number 20! Jamal Murray, my favorite NBA light skin and the best of the second options in my humble opinion. When he's not getting the soul sucked out of him, he busy sucking the soul out of the fans of Western Conference NBA teams. Is that joke funny still? I don't know, I'm not on Twitter. But for real though, I think Jamal is the epitome of a great second option offensively. He can get his shot from literally anywhere on the court. He can go to anywhere on the court. He's good on ball, he's good off ball. He can facilitate when he needs to. And most importantly of all, when the chips are down, he turned it up. He got that playoff dog in him, and that is why he's on this list. Now, a lot of you Denver fans who switch over to the Nuggets once y'all saw my Chiefs on your Broncos for another year are probably going to be in the comments saying, why is Jamal so low if we just won the championship? And you yourself said he's an A-tier playoff performer. Why wouldn't you move him higher? There are two reasons I cannot bump Jamal up a tier, and both of them got to do with your S-tier playoff performer. I just think Jokic is so good that you kind of got to take that into account when judging Murray's impact. Like, yeah, Murray, I'm glad you stopped curling your toes to get some buckets in the NBA, but if Jokic didn't stop playing with his horses and come into work so he could give out the most lackadaisical, thorough ass whoopings in NBA history to your opponents, then y'all would have got swept round one. The other reason I don't have Murray higher is because him and Jokic are such an obscenely good fit that it cannot possibly be replicated. Like, the way Murray and Jokic can play off each other is, I think, the most beneficial symbiotic relationship in the league, and I think that makes both of them look a little better than they actually are. Murray a lot more than Jokic, obviously. When it comes down to it, I think Murray is in the literal best scenario imaginable for him and his game. And if I were to take him out of his current situation and drop him on just an average team and ask him to take us to the playoffs, there are 19 players I would trust more than him. Now on to the 1A/1B options. It's the man with the ugliest effective offensive game I've ever seen in my life, Jaren Jackson Jr. Like, honestly, I don't think it gets talked about enough how unappealing this man's game looked. Like, where my hug at? You said you was gonna give me a hug type ugly. But hey, the point of this list is impact over eye test, and Triple J stuff goes in. He has a solid game inside the arc with his package of vomit-inducing hooks and floaters, and he can actually space the floor with a broken, busted-ass solid three-point shot. But for real though, if Triple J is your third best offensive player, then you're in really good shape. The real reason Triple J is this high, as I'm sure even the casuals will know, is his defense. There are two players max I'm taking in the league over Triple J to anchor my defense, and that is Giannis and AD, and that is it. And honestly, I'm gonna take him over Giannis. That's how good he is on the defensive end. This man is probably the most switchable big in the league behind Bam, in my opinion, and not switchable the way other bigs are switchable, where they just stay remotely in the area code of the guard and then just use their unfair reach advantage to block the guard's shot anyways. Looking at you, Brook Lopez. I mean, this man is staying in front of you and smothering the shot if you even dare to try him. I saw a clip of this man locking up Kyrie Irving, and I know what I said about Kyrie and where I ranked him, but that does not take away from the fact that I would choose anyone in the history of the human race to guard before I chose Kyrie Irving. If my life was on the line and the only way to save myself was to stop this man from getting past me on a one-on-one, I'm gonna hit him with the right hook and then Sparta kick him in the knees. So very impressive by Triple J. On top of Triple J being the best switchable big man in the league, he's a top 3 rim protector, top 2 maybe, especially now that he's learned that he don't need to jump at everything and he can just use his long ass orangutan arms, no racial, to block people off more controlled leaps. All in all, Triple J is a solid offensive player with the top 3 at worst defensive impact in the league. And honestly, depending on how the first part of the season goes for the Grizzlies, if Memphis keeps up their win percentage without Ja, Triple J may have to move up higher on my list. Number 18, Easily the funniest nigga in the NBA. You think the way he and Cat talk in post-game interviews that their rankings should be switched. But no, Carl talk like a dog, but he's all feline, and Cat talk like a straight goofball, but he on that Mamba mentality. When it comes to his game, Ant is one of the best slashers in the league and combines that with decent pull-up jumpers. And on top of that, when he locks in, and I like to emphasize when, he is actually a really good perimeter defender. His main issues are that he's not the best playmaker when he kind of has to be on this roster unless Cat wants to upgrade his room temp basketball IQ. He's not the best three-point shooter, especially for the ones he likes to take, and he sometimes looks lost on defense. But when you take into account his killer instinct, scoring ability, and occasional defensive competence, I'm very confident in saying that if Ant were with someone on his level or a little higher, they would be dark horse contenders. Number 17, Donovan Mitchell. D-Mitch is a confusing ass case because I've seen this man blow up in the playoffs. Him and Jamal were sending kaiju blows back and forth at each other in the bubble, and Murray at least had Jokic riding with him. Donovan's center was too busy trying to get that Guinness World Record for most prolific super spreader. Even the year after that, D-Mitch had an insane playoffs, so I was like, okay, he's him. Everything that boy Book think he is, Mitch really is. But the last 2 years, oh my lord, bro, like what are we doing? Like if D-Mitch was performing even just a little bit worse than he does in the regular season over the past few years, he'd probably be 3 to 4 spots higher on this list. Even if he was just ass this year, but still decent the one before, I'd probably put him higher. But 2 years in a row got me looking at you sideways, my boy. My neck at 90 degrees. Every other part of D-Mitch's game is good to elite. Great ball handler, great playmaker, decent playmaker, elite shooter, elite slasher, defense, suspect no EUDP, I'm not gonna hold you. But for real, Mitch should be higher, but for some reason he folded under pressure in the clutch, no Jermaine. Now for 16 through 12 point guard purgatory. I labeled 16 through 12 point guard purgatory because in this category, I have 5 of the 7 best point guards in the league. I labeled this a purgatory for 2 reasons. One, because I feel like these players are all good enough to fool a few people into thinking they are true #1 options on a championship team. But unless they supporting cast looking like the supporting cast in Oppenheimer, they're not going to be able to do much. The second reason I labeled this a purgatory is because I think this is the most interchangeable section on my list. Honestly, a slight breeze could and has pushed me into switching around my 16 through 14. And I feel okay about where I rank my 12 and 13, but if someone gave me a decent argument, I could definitely see myself shuffling them around. So please do not get mad at me about this section of the list. I am open to discussion on these 5. Now that we got that out of the way, number 16. That week-old lollipop you found under the couch. Now, this man, Trae Young, should be higher, in addition to him having the cleanest nickname celebration combo in the league, and I will not have any arguments on this. Ice Trae, with that little shiver he do, oh my lord, he had to be in this league. He had no other option. But in addition to having an S-tier nickname celebration combo, he's probably a top 5 offensive anchor in the league, excellent ball handling, excellent shot creator all over the court, and a top 5 passer playmaker. His issues are twofold. One, I have more defensive potential sitting here on my couch than he does. This man is tiny, and unfortunately that's not really something he can work on. It's just something his front office needs to address when they build the system/team around him. Number 2, his shot selection is nausea-inducing. Like, I don't understand how his teammates don't hold his little ass up by his shirt collar every time he takes one of those dumbass half-court threes like my brother in Christ. You are not Steph Curry, you are Steve Nash. Play more like it. Trae Young is what happens when a good shooter thinks he's a GOAT shooter. Back to the Steve Nash thing though, I think him and Trae are eerily similar players with just one main difference. Steve passes too much while Trae scores too much, or at least tries to score too much. If Trae can reach that medium between the two where he's still a huge threat to score, but he cuts out some of his more egregious shot attempts and switches them out for passes, I think the Hawks with this new and improved roster can make some noise in a very overhyped East next year. Number 15. SGA, aka the new Kelly Oubre, now that Kelly Oubre kind of starting to fall off and Jalen Green weird as hell. Now, I'm a Thunder fan, so take this with a grain of salt, but I believe Shea can be higher than this, and I believe he will be higher than this after this season. I just had to rank Shea here because we just haven't seen him do it in the playoffs. We've seen him do it in the play-in, but that's just second base, my boy. He wasn't that exceptionally great when he was on third in the bubble, and we definitely ain't seen him take it all the way. But I believe he will get there because, and I know this will sound trivial at first, but bear with me because I promise to bring it full circle. circle, but SGA has the smoothest game I have ever seen with my own 2 eyes. SGA's game so smooth, it makes PG's game look like he got Parkinson's. SGA's game so smooth, if it were a road, you could drive on it with no suspension. You put your hand in this sexy ass nigga's bag and all you grabbing is straight jiffy, no crunch in sight. And I think that's his best attribute. I just think because his game is so buttery smooth, he can never get sped up. And so once the playoffs come, he'll be able to handle the defensive pressure. Is this maybe me being a little bit biased because he's my current favorite player on my favorite team and has my favorite type of game? Sure. But I don't care. I got faith in him and my Thunder as a whole this year. I would comfortably take him over anybody below him right now, and I think he could rise as high as 10 next year if this season goes how I think it will go for the Thunder. Number 14. Swiper the Fox. Now, I don't got much to say about De'Aaron. I think he's a very good PG who doesn't get quite enough love. I remember hearing some bozo on ESPN saying Ja Morant is everything De'Aaron Fox thinks he is a while ago, and I don't think he got enough hate for that statement. So here I am begging y'all to put down what you were doing and hate on this man some more, because that's wild. I mean, I think Ja is a little better, but not to the disrespectful degree that this man is implying. Overall, though, Fox is still a great player, a good player. He's kind of like a slightly upgraded version of Anthony Edwards for me. And I would just like to emphasize the Anthony Edwards we saw last year, not the Anthony Edwards I think we will see this year. But Fox is a good slasher, a good pull-up game, good defender when engaged, and is a decent playmaker. On top of all of these pluses, before he injured his hand in the playoffs this year, he showed some evidence of being a solid playoff riser. Despite all this ranking still may be high to a lot of people for Fox, but I feel like De'Aaron, in the second year of Mike Brown's system with an even more upgraded supporting cast and a bit of playoff experience, is going to make another step towards superstardom. I don't know if he'll reach it, but I have faith he will be up a couple spots by the time next season is over. Number 13, Dame Dollar. I hate you, Dame. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. Now that I got that out of the way, I have not studied psychology at any level, but I have watched The Beauty and the Beast. Shut up on my Gaston stand. And because I've watched Beauty and the Beast, I can comfortably say that Damian Lillard had the meanest case of IRL Stockholm Syndrome that I've ever seen in my life. Literal textbook. Portland was out here working this man in the fields from dusk till dawn, having the man working off a moldy piece of sliced bread and a shot glass of spoiled milk. And the man was still talking about how he loyal to the soil. Bro, that's not a flex. You not being committed to a queen. That girl is abusive. You need to leave, my boy. So I'm glad you finally came to your senses, because Dame's talent is too great to be wasted on this bum-ass franchise. Dame is the second best shooter of all time. Y'all can have Clay. I'm gonna take the dude that can actually do a dribble move before he shoot. Dame's also a good shot creator at the other areas of the court, but don't get it twisted. His three-point shooting is what got him here. Dame is also notorious for being a playoff riser, even though I think that's a bit overblown. Like, don't get me wrong, I hate you, but all I need to do is show this man a 360p JPEG of Drew Holiday and Anthony Davis, and the boy's knees weak, arms are heavy, vomit on a sweater already, mom spaghetti. Overall though, Dame is good, and I'm excited to see him finally have some playoff success when he's not asked to carry a team, and just fill the role he was made to fill, which is the best 1B level player in the league, or a mid 1A. Number 12, Ja Wick, aka Ja Gotti, aka Finna Light You Up, aka Ja Grizzly, T Grizzly. That's kind of good. AKA, there's a parade in Summer City. I don't know. Put down the guns, Ja, please. All the good dark skins are getting old. We need you. You cannot be serious, my brother. For real, though, Ja Morant is maybe the most dynamic player in the NBA. He is the most skilled guard in the league, whose catalog of missed dunks are better than most players' made dunks. On top of that, he's a top 10 playmaker / passer. He's an offense in and of himself. And while he's a negative on defense, he weirdly provides a little bit of rim protection with his insane what the fuck level hops. I'm sorry, cuss. Ja's main problem other than defense is he both can't shoot and shoots too much, which is a bit of a double entendre if you guys caught it. But Adam Silver needs to put this man on beyond scared straight, so he'll put down the guns and pick up a basketball. Because if losing $45 million in cold hard cash was not enough to stop this man from gangbanging, then what is realistically? Only thing I can think of.
I like you and I want you. Now we can do this the easy way or we can do it the hard way.
Number 11, Anthony Davis. Top 3 most frustrating player in the league. Now, I do think Anthony Davis should get more credit for his defense, because even though a majority of people believe that AD is the best defender in the league, I think when he has one of his off offensive nights, people just disregard his defensive impact entirely. So I'd like to emphasize how good a defender he is first. He's probably third most switchable defensive anchor in the league, behind Bam and Triple J in my opinion, and by far the best rim protector. You could have my mom, my sister, and 2 paraplegics as AD's defensive supporting cast, and he'd still probably hold the other team to 105. He's a great defender, but his offensive game is overrated. Trust me, I overrated his offensive game too. When I was watching him in the bubble and saw that clean-ass mid-post game and his three-point shot actually falling, I was just like, all right, this is he. But everything he's done after that just proves that the bubble was a mirage for him. I think the main reason why he always is so up and down offensively is because he is not as great an offensive shot creator as we think he is. Outside of his ball handling, which is elite only for a big man, and a good post hook, AD doesn't really have anything in his bag. He has a good mid-range and a mid three-point shot, but that's just not going to cut it when getting this high on the list. Everyone above AD and most of the people below him, when it comes down to it, I know they got it bagged deep enough to where when all else fails, just handing the ball to them and begging them, "Pretty please make my coaching look good and get a bucket," is a solid form of offense. This is valid even for Giannis, who though his bag isn't deep, can still get you a bucket when he needs to because of his borderline illegal genetics. Hell, "Pretty please make me look good" it was practically Budenholzer's form of offense until he got fired. Now AD does provide more offensive value by being maybe the best play finisher on this list, but because that role is very dependent on having an elite playmaker on the floor with you, I don't think you could say AD can definitively be the best player on a championship team. I think on a really good team he can be a 1A, but not clearly the best. Now, we have reached the pinnacle of this list. The top 10. I would say I did not plan it out like this, but everyone top 10 or higher, I believe can be the clear best player on a championship team this year. This is also my threshold for what I would call a superstar. Number 10, Joel Embiid. When he's not too busy crying for an MVP award that he kind of deserves but not really, Embiid is too busy being the best 7-footer masquerading as a 6'7" player I've ever seen in my life. Like, don't get me wrong, even if he did lose 7 inches in height, he'd still be elite. He's an elite shooter, has the second best post game in the league, is a good defender, and has a great handle for his size. But my brother in Christ, you are 7 foot, 280 pounds. If you have freaking John Collins on you, I don't care how nice your post fadeaway is, I want you to back the brother down and give him a concussion. I want you to make the man rethink his profession. I know I'm not in the NBA, so I can't really understand how much wear and tear this puts on the body, but golly, when you that big, the mid-range and three-point shot should be your secondary option. I feel like too often this man tries to have a balanced game between all 3 scoring areas, which is fine. I feel like that's the advantageous way to play if you're DeMar DeRozan, but my boy, I don't need to see your kaiju ass taking step back threes. Park your ass under the hoop. On top of this, Joel is moderately injury prone and is building a solid resume as not a full playoff choker, but he's starting to wheeze. I don't know, Joel, you gotta get better. Number 9, KD. Oh, why is KD so low? Oh, best scorer of all time. Oh, you just a hater, blah, 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 blah. Yes, I am. But for real though, I keep seeing all these takes that are calling KD's place as a top player in the league into question, and I think they are all facts. Like, what has this man done recently since he left Golden State? He had that insane series against the Bucks a few years ago where he lost, but he was carrying the entire city and James Harden's flaccid hamstring on his back. So I won't blame him, but after that, getting swept by the Celtics and playing ass while doing it, beat the Russell Westbrook-led Clippers? Good job, my boy, but respectfully, no thank you. Listen, KD is still an elite shot creator, but his defense has taken a step back. He's never been a crazy good playmaker. He's not a culture setter. And on top of that, he is injury prone. Like, the most injury prone person on this list. Really go through this list and tell me who is more injury prone than him. The brother rolled his ankle in layup lines. Like, what are we really doing? My boy, I would have retired. Honestly, if KD wasn't so injury prone, I think he'd be a few spots up, but his injury proneness as well as his lack of recent playoff success got me lower on KD than others. Even lower than one of his teammates. Number 8, D-Book, my least favorite NBA light skin. I literally cannot be more biased against a singular person. It hurts me more than it hurts you to see him this high up on the list. He sucked, bro. He just sucked. I hate him. I cannot tell you how elated I was Luka's son this buffoon a couple years ago. I was chortling. I have literally watched every possible Sun slander video on the internet from that public humiliation we called the 2021 Western Conference semifinals. The Luka special lives rent-free in my mind. But hear me when I say this. That boy can hoop. Like, I know I haven't read a lot of stats this whole time, but let me read off his playoff numbers for you real quick from this last season. 33.5 points, 58% from the field, 50% from 3, in 11 games for a true shooting percentage of 68. Great heavens. And what's annoying as a D-Book hater is the shots he was taking were absurd. Like every time he took a shot, I'd smile a little ready for him to miss on my hater shit, but then he'd swish it and my erection would go down. Like he really looked like the Kobe apprentice his conceited ass was claiming to be, because this man was straight operating in the mid-range, no cardiologist. 1, 2, 3 brothers draped on him like the covers, but he just throw him off and say, "Good morning, it's time to wake up, splickhack." That's the main reason I got him a spot higher than KD. Devin was doing more difficult on-ball shot creation than KD in the playoffs and was scoring more points on a higher overall efficiency. He's also a lot less injury prone. Shot creation on 100, playoff riser, decent playmaker, okay defender. Honestly, he just needs to do more, and I still probably wouldn't put him higher because this dude is annoying as hell. Stop talking. Number 7. LeBron. You really put LeBron at 7? You really put Bron over KD and Joel? Bron not even the best player on his team. Austin Reeves, truther. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. LeBron is him. He was birthed him. He was raised him. He came in the league him. He is still him. And he will be him until further notice. I mean, the dude was the best offensive player on a Western Conference Finals team with a damaged ligament in his foot. Some of y'all niggas shed a tear if you stub your toe. I just think people hating too much and not realizing how good this man still is. I mean, in the regular season, the dude was backpacking the Lakers offense. In the playoffs, he still averaged a 24.5 point double-double on decent efficiency from the field. I just think the LeBron haters can't get his cock out their mouth and want to take any slight falter from him as a signal that he sucks now. I would rather have LeBron than KD. He's less injury prone and races the floor of an offense better than KD. I'd rather have Bron than Joel's confused ass. I'd rather have Bron than AD's scared ass. I'd rather have Bron than a renegade gangster Ja Wick. And I'd rather have Bron than D-Book because I hate him. Next. Number 6. Jason Tatum. Looking back on my list now, I think it's funny how many players I've talked about whose main issue is just mental. Like, I feel like there should be more shooting, defense, injuries, but a lot of them are just, fam, can we not screw this up? Jason Tatum is one of these players. Just as a player, Tatum is the ideal modern wing. Tall-ass gorilla-armed dude, no racial, that can create his own shot on and off ball from anywhere on the court and is a good defender. On top of that, maybe the crispiest fade in the league. The boy's literally Ja Morant. He's got all the tools. He don't have as many tools as he think he do. A lot of the time, he's the epitome of $1 million move, $5 finish in the mid-range, but he is decent to elite in almost every facet of the game, and he's closer to elite in most of them. His only knock is the dude just don't show up often enough in the playoffs, and the whole Celtics team don't show up at times, but JT is the head of the snake. When the team don't show up, he's the one that gotta make them show up or try to carry him kicking and screaming to the finish line. Now, the reason he's up this high is because sometimes he do. Sometimes you get a game 7 versus the Sixers where he decides to purchase even more real estate in the psyche of Philadelphia 76ers fans. Like, for real, the amount of generational trauma this man doled out to the entire state of Pennsylvania is wild. He gonna have Joel Embiid's great-grandchildren waking up at 2 a.m. in cold sweats. No, please, no, I can't take it. Another sidestep three-pointer just kill me. But for real, for every 51-point behemoth will get 2 15-point games on horrific efficiency. Props to him that he don't straight up disappear like AD and is always taking his shots, but he's just too streaky to be higher in this list. Number 5. The last bastion of dark skin supremacy, Jimmy G Buckets. Why is Jimmy... I don't really want to do this. Why is Jimmy Butler so high? This is ridiculous, overrated, heat culture, no bag, can't shoot, blah. All this nigga do is win. Let me repeat myself. All this nigga do is win. Full racial, period. Let me run through this Black Air Force Admiral's resume real quick. His last year in Chicago in 16-17, he literally had the worst possible team built around him with a point guard, shooting guard, power forward, and center that were not just bad shooters, but literally could not shoot. Dwayne Wade was their premier floor spacer. Jimmy had quantum levels of space to work with, but the team nearly had an 8-1 upset. In the offseason, he gets traded to the Wolves, and following that, the Bulls average a 34% win percentage over the next 4 seasons. A lot lot of other players left the Bulls though, so that's fine. Let's not put that on Jimmy. The T-Wolves, before he got there, were living more like puppies for their entire non-KG existence. Jimmy gets there, they break the longest playoff drought in the NBA at the time. A lot of people saw the Wolves play in the postseason for the first time in their lives. He doesn't play well in the playoffs, on a recovering torn meniscus, I might add, but still, then proceeds to sun his second and third options so bad they are in denial to this day and gets himself traded to the Sixers. Those playoffs were the last time the Wolves would be there until Ant saved them. Jimmy played ass in the playoffs though. Okay, I understand. He gets traded to the Sixers and had a team with the playoff Ben Simmons, not one game, not one shot, but one bounce away from beating that year's NBA champions and prematurely ending one of the best playoff runs we've ever seen in 2019 Kawhi. In the offseason, the Sixers choose Tobias Harris over him, Trey Butler to the Heat for a Reese's Pieces, and they never get close to a championship again. What? They only made it to the Eastern Conference semifinals? Butler wasn't even the best player on the team? Fine, you're right. I don't think that last point is as clear an argument as you think it is in the 2018-19 playoffs, but for the sake of discussion, fine, you can have that. In Miami, a team who had made the playoffs twice out of the 5 years since LeBron left, a team whose supporting cast had people saying Jimmy only went there for the money, a team who even with Jimmy was questioned on were they able to make the playoffs, a team where his second best player was a pre-pubescent Bam Adebayo. He leads them to the finals in his first year and drops a 40-point triple-double on the LeBron 80 Lakers in their prime. Beginner's luck, Mickey Mouse playoffs. Oh, maybe he was right. He was kind of ass in the next year's playoffs. Oh, shit! Next year's playoffs, he averages 27.4 points per game, over 50% from the field, and has his team one shot away from a finals berth. Oh, shit! The next year, last year, with a debatably worse supporting cast, he drops 56 points on the best perimeter defender in the league's noggin, stuns him while doing it, and then leads his team to the NBA Finals. You can say Jimmy's not a top 20 offensive talent. You can say his bag ain't that deep. You can say, yes, he's a good defender, but not an elite defender. But the one thing you cannot say about my Negroid is that he do not win. He has Hall of Fame intangibles that are tailor-made for a list like this. No, I'm not ranking him on a top 10 offensive players list. No, I'm not ranking him on a top 10 defensive players list. I'm not ranking him top 10 in any singular facet of the game except one. I'm ranking him number one and got that dog in him. And he has shown over his entire career that in combination with mid-tier all-star tangibles is enough to lead a team to playoff success. I'm out. Number 4. Luka the Don Doncic, sire of the Suns, I don't know, whatever you want, is the most offensively well-rounded perimeter player in the league and maybe top 10 all time. This man can and will give it to you in any way, shape, or form. Your only hope is can he miss it. Let's take you through the hypothetical of trying to guard this man on the screen and roll. You gonna go under the screen? Oh, he's actually a really good three-point shooter. The big is gonna drop into coverage. Oh, well, actually, he's one of the best mid-range shooters in the league. The big switches onto him. Oh, he's actually got a really good handle and can finish at will, so he's just gonna take him into the paint. Oh, you're gonna blitz him off the screen. Oh, and you're actually gonna bring a third man in to help on the screen and roll. Well, actually, he's one of the best playmakers in the league, so what he's gonna do is he's gonna find the open man and gonna get him an easy shot. Oh, you're gonna play the pick and roll perfectly without putting yourself in any precarious situations. Never mind that, he's just one of the best ISO players in the league, and as the cherry on top of that, he's one of the most efficient post players in the league as a point guard. Like, just throw your hands up in the air and pray for divine intervention because you cannot stop this man. The main reason that Don isn't any higher on this list, other than his defense, because golly, is offensively, I think the ball runs through him too much. I can't remember where I read about this little case study, but back in the day, when Will was running through 2 women per hour, averaging 50 points a game, coming off a hangover, his team was actually not performing that well offensively, which was weird because he was averaging 40 to 50 on above league average efficiency. One year, though, his coach made a point to take the ball out of his hands and move it around more, and I think Will actually won a ring that year. That is what Kid needs to do for Doncic, especially with players like Kyrie and to a much lesser extent Jaden Hardy, Josh Green, Seth Curry, etc. Use Doncic as a big cog in the system and not as the system. Doncic is good enough to lead a team to playoff success while being the system, but to win a championship, which is the ultimate goal for someone of his caliber, I think he and the team as a whole needs more offensive structure. He also needs to stop whining to the rest of every other play because that is annoying as hell. On to number 3, Stephen Curry. Over the years, my appreciation for Steph has grown very similarly to my appreciation for Bron. I kind of hated on him at first because he was the most talked about player on the best team, and I'm a hater at heart. Gold medalist in the haters ball, respectfully. Then when he formed the super team, I genuinely despised him, and then after the super team disbanded and he won a ring as the man, I became a proud meat writer. I'm a Steph and Bron meat gobbler, and I'll say that with my chest. Meat gobbler and proud. I won't say a bunch about Steph because he's already talked about so much. Best shooter ever, and two ain't close. Gravity, ball handling, decent defender, etc. Number 2, the Greek Freak. As said before, illegal, borderline criminal genetics. Man's got a 4'4" 40 with a 40-inch vertical and the body of Mr. Fantastic, who's been taking trends since middle school. Like, what are you supposed to do about that? Your options are literally to foul him, devote the entire team to guard him, and pray to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Man is an elite defensive presence, top 5 at worst, good passer and playmaker, and when it comes to getting the ball in the hoop, top 3 in the league. His main issue is when you stop him from going to the hoop, there's not much else he can do. He's a bad shooter. His post game literally consists of a broken ass fadeaway, and that's it. And even though his passing is good, he's not a manipulative passer that'll predict what the defender will do and or force the defender into an unfavorable position and act on that. He's more of a reactionary passer where he'll willingly give up the ball if he sees it, but he won't anticipate anything. For me, I think he needs to become elite in one of these categories to reclaim his spot as number 1. Since the Bucks already broke his shot, and being a manipulative passer is something you don't really learn, but you're more born with, I think he needs to focus on his post game. Now, I know Giannis is an NBA player, and my second team all-conference high school basketball playing self cannot compare to an NBA player. FYI, I played against Ochai Agbaji 3 times, and he only dropped 25 on me on that last time, so I don't want to flex or nothing, but I locked him up. I promise I didn't peak in high school, but I cannot shoot. So my coach had me work on my shot throughout high school, but the first thing he taught me to do was a post hook. And I kid you not, the minute he showed it to me in my sophomore year, I was backing people down from the 3-point line, post hooking from the free throw line. No Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. To this day, when I play pickup, I'm driving on you and finishing through you. And if you somehow stop my shot, I'm transitioning into a post up and then dropping my nuts on your forehead with that post hook. What I wanted to convey with that light bragging is that compared to learning to shoot, it is pretty easy to add post moves to your game. I mean, after being strictly perimeter for his whole career, after LeBron got mollywopped by the Mavs, he spent one offseason working in the post and came back with an elite post game the next season. I also think a traditional post game would gel with Giannis's game a lot better than a pull-up shot would. He doesn't need to turn into Timmy D, but if he adds a post hook and a couple other moves like a drop step or an up and under to counter off the hook, I think that'll be effective. That way, when the man is barreling to the rim and he gets stopped, he doesn't have to use that broken ass pull-up to bail the defense out, but instead he can transition directly into a post-up, use his strength to get even better positioning, and then use that post-up to get a much easier, more balanced shot. That is just a suggestion from a non-high-level basketball player who can't shoot, but I feel like that'd be easier than learning how to shoot with that busted-ass jump shot. Number 1! The Joker. Listen, Denver fans, before I start my Nikola Jokic commentary, I'm going to make y'all a little bit mad and do some Patrick Mahomes Hall of Fame meat riding. You guys will see how it ties together, but honestly, I just wanted to make y'all a little upset. I'm a KC fan at heart. The Broncos suck. So a couple weeks ago, I was watching the QB documentary with my girlfriend, and that one Patrick Mahomes play against the Bucks came on where he scrambled out of the pocket, pirouetted on the D lineman, and then just flipped the ball in the back of the end zone like he didn't have a care in the world. And you know, I'm from KC, as I said, I'm a football fan. I've already jerked off to that play plenty of times before, but in this instance, watching it with my girlfriend, it finally hit me what makes Patrick Mahomes so fun to watch. There are plenty of times in sports where one player will outclass another player, and when that happens, to me, it always makes the better player look good more than it makes the worst player look bad. You get what I'm saying? With Patrick Mahomes, though, and as I'm sure you guessed, Nikola Jokic, it's the opposite. These two players are the only players I can currently think of in sports that are so good and also have such weird, unique styles of play that they make the best athletes in the world look like toddlers. Like, I think it's funny that all this stuff keeps coming out about how Jokic isn't like super crazy about basketball, because that's literally how he plays. He plays basketball like a dad who works a blue-collar job, just got back from his 9-to-5, and his 10-year-old son keeps begging him to play one-on-one in the backyard. Only difference is Joker is doing this against, the literal largest people on the planet. Absurd passing, one of the best ever. He doesn't need to hold the ball a lot or dribble a lot to orchestrate the offense too, which I think is a part of what makes him so valuable. Good defender and shooter, and my favorite part of his game is his post game. Oh my word. Joel needs to watch Jokic play in the post and copy it step by step. He'll face up on you if he needs to. He'll post fade on you if he needs to. But his first, second, and third option is just 4 words. I am bigger than you. And it doesn't matter who it is to. Like, look at who he went through in the playoffs. He immunized Rudy Gobert in the first round. He bent Ayton over his knee and disciplined him in the second round. He swept the person who I said was the best defender in the league out of the playoffs, and then he got a top 5 defender and Hemi Butler up out of here in 5. He's the best player in the league, and it's his spot to lose this season.
What's up, y'all? Thank you for your viewership. I'm recording this after I edited everything because I realized I had not gotten a good outro. Once again, thank you for your viewership. As you can see on the screen, I have my 1 through 25 listed out in numerical order. Real quick, I just want to direct y'all's attention to the upper left-hand corner of the screen where I have Harden, Kyrie, and Bam switched places. I pushed Bam ahead of Kyrie and Harden just because the more I thought about it, I felt more comfortable having Bam on my team than having Kyrie and Harden on my team. Maybe it's because of recent events. Maybe it's because I just came to my senses. I don't know, but just wanted to direct y'all's attention towards that. Other than that, I'm happy with the list. There may be other things that I would change now, but for the most part, I'm happy with my list. Lastly, I just want to thank y'all for your viewership. If you watch this all the way through, either you're a trooper or you need to call someone, because listening to my opinions for over 40 minutes is a crazy feat in and of itself. So thank you for your viewership. If you like the video, like the video. If you want to see more of me and more of possibly my friends in the future, then go ahead and subscribe and let me know your opinions down in the comments. I don't think, even though I had a lot of bravado in the beginning, I do not think this is the end all be all list. I don't even think this is better than some other people's lists. I just thought I had a new, kind of unique, I guess, way to look at the top 25 rankings. So if you disagree with anything, if you agree with anything, go ahead and leave something in the comments. Thank you. Peace.